Jared Kushner has been talking about this for many, many months.
Correct.
The variations of this. And Trump, in his extended remarks, if you go and read the transcript, he's talking at some level of detail and talking about having thought about this for a while. My prediction of this, and it's always a fool's game, but I'll nonetheless wade in just to try to make us have a sense of maybe where this is going. And also there's some State Department spokesman comments to this effect, that this is an attempt to pressure Saudi Arabia, Gulf states, Egypt and Jordan, to the extent that they can participate, into being an active participant in a non-Hamas governing structure in Gaza. Someone needs to make sure that Gaza is governed and secured in such a way to make real reconstruction possible, a real building, a positive
so
building.
So what you're saying, Matt Welch,
society.
What you're saying is it's like when we're at the dinner table and I can't get my 3 kids to agree on who's going to do the cleanup. And I, in exasperation, just say, fine, I'll do it. And my kids, being sweet kids, know that I worked all day and that then if I cooked a meal, I'm especially bitter. And
so are they because they had to eat it.
No, exactly right.
Yeah, well, we got
and
it.
they know it's not going to get better if I then have to do the cleanup of the meal. And then at that point, they're all like, all right, we'll do it. We'll work it out. We'll work it out. The 3 of us will do it together, or one of us will do it. What you're saying is that Trump is the me in that situation, being like, fine, nobody else is going to solve it. I'll solve it, hoping that the 3 other people at the table stand up to say, you know what? We'll handle it.
Well, your kids are sweet, though. That's the thing. I'm not sure we're dealing with sweet kids here. And I'm
like
also
the
not
Saudis?
sure. And I don't know what Trump's leverage, and maybe Moynihan has some insight that currently I lack, but I don't know what Trump's whip hand is to sort of make these people do what he wants. America already gives a ton of foreign aid to Egypt and Jordan and Israel, of course, and military sales to Saudi Arabia. We don't give direct aid as far as I'm aware. But what is the whip hand to sort of make people do this? Is it just like, oh, no, I might act crazy?
Or is it an ownership interest in the Gaza Riviera? Because Trump is saying we're not going to pay for this. That is what he said.
Gaza, Megyn. We should call it by its proper name.
Gaziera, the Gaziera. I think I'd be a little scared to stay in a hotel in the Gaziera.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe it'll be different in 30 years.
Anytime soon.
Let me give you a little Trump sound, because he filled in a few of these blanks. I mean, again, we're still unclear and he was still ambiguous, but you should hear directly from the president on, first, the question of U.S. troops, 5.
Mr. President, given what you've said about Gaza, did the U.S. send troops to help secure the security vacuum?
As far as Gaza is concerned, we'll do what is necessary. If it's necessary, we'll do that. We're going to take over that piece, and we're going to develop it, create thousands and thousands of jobs, and it'll be something that the entire Middle East can be very proud of.
Then Politico, following up, spoke to an unnamed Trump official who they report did not accept the premise that Trump's plan would require American troops in Gaza. Expect plenty more pushback on that assumption from the White House today. This official argued that it's in the interest of other Arab players like Saudi Arabia to find a solution to the conflict, and that Trump throwing his ideas out there might inspire others to counter. As the man himself says, we'll see. So that's kind of my dinner party, possibility, the dinner party.
There's one negative possibility here is that, if you're negotiating in that way, well, we're going to go in there, we're going to do it, and you're not going to like that. So therefore, you're going to go in and clean it up yourself. We're going to force you into doing the thing that you're reluctant to do. The flip side of that is also true. I mean, keep in mind that there are people in all of these governments across the Arab world who would love to see America do that. I mean, look what happened in the Iraq War. They absolutely, do you think any of these governments give a shit about the Palestinians? If they gave a shit about the Palestinians, they would be allowing enormous amounts of refugees. They care about destroying Israel. And they've been sacrificing the Palestinians on that behalf for a very, very long time. If you can bring American troops in there and actually cause even more chaos for the great Satan, the Iranians would love that. I mean, it's kind of what America does by funding the Ukrainians. It's like keep Putin bogged down and kill a bunch of his soldiers, in Ukraine, right? In the borderlands of Ukraine. Like, we don't have to fight that war. They'll do it for us.
Okay, fair. I take all of that
makes
point.
me think they could be doing
that.
Yeah.
I take it all. But what if, let's just go with the what if for a moment here. Trump is a builder. Like, this actually is an area, like cleaning out a wasteland, a construction site, removing destroyed buildings and putting up enormous, lovely new ones. That is something he actually has some expertise in. And what if he actually could, with money from the Saudis and the Jordanians and the Egyptians and the UAE and maybe some American money, build what he says could be there? Here is SOT 3.
We have an opportunity to do something that could be phenomenal. And I don't want to be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad. This could be so magnificent.
Stand by. Let me play one follow-up where he was asked if are we going there permanently? Like we're never leaving Gaza now? And here's what he said, SOT 6.
You are talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. This was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know. Nobody can look because all they see is death and destruction.
Sorry, one more, you guys. Keep those in mind, right? So there's Trump saying could be like the Riviera of the Middle East, then saying I do see a long-term ownership for the United States. And then here is the Jared Kushner sound in part that you guys just referred to, his son-in-law.
In Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable to if people would focus on kind of building up, livelihoods. You think about all the money that's gone into this tunnel network and into all the munitions. If that would have gone into education or innovation, what could have been done? And so I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there. But I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up.
How about that? That was exactly 12 months ago.
Mm-hmm. I see a lot. I don't even know where to begin here. I see a lot. First of all, we're seeing neocon dawn, which I was not expecting at this point. Neocon dawn is making a lot of people. I'm sure Tucker Carlson is having heart palpitations up in the woods of Maine right now.
I'm very interested to see how he reacts. I agree with you. I'm very interested to see how Tucker reacts.
I'm like, is he tweeting about this? I guess he's going to have a show and talk about it. But
he doesn't usually tweet. He'll do something on the show. But yeah, go ahead.
But I'm interested to see how he deals with the show because, keep in mind that Lebanon was long considered the Middle Eastern Riviera, and Beirut was the Paris of the Middle East and completely destroyed by, sectarian fighting. In this kind of sense that, Donald Trump made a big deal, and I kind of defended him in one way. He said in 2002, when asked by Howard Stern if he supported the Iraq war, he said something like, I guess so. And then he turned on it pretty quickly. And he said it was like the biggest foreign policy mistake in American history. I don't know how he thinks, if we're going to own this property and stay there for a long time, that this is going to be peaceful. This is going to be without the Iranians, the jihadists that blew up American troops in Iraq were almost exclusively funded by the Iranians, IEDs blowing people's legs off. You don't think something like that would happen again? I do. For the purpose of a couple of hotels, yeah, if you had the choice, I think you would go to the south of France and not to Gaza, where people who have been displaced are probably going to want to wage war to get that piece of territory back.
Well, here's the problem. Like, in part, we're treating Hamas like they're rational humans who we can just strike a deal with. And they're
Correct.
Absolutely barbaric. What they did to Israel on 10/7 is animalistic in its viciousness, and they don't value human life. Their charter makes that clear. The way they behave makes that clear. All those UN videos of, or it wasn't the UN, I can't remember who put it together, but of the Palestinian children talking about how they can't wait to die for the cause, just so they can martyr themselves and kill Israelis. And even with the Hamas fighters calling their parents for praise in the middle of murdering. I murdered For Jews, yeah, kids, parents. That's not someone we can negotiate with. That's not someone who's going to be lured into peacefulness by a big, beautiful building that he might be able to swing by the spa on Sunday at, Camille. I'm open. I have no solutions for the Middle East, none. Mm-hmm. So I'm as open-minded to this one as another. But I do think this fundamental truth about the people who are in Hamas must be dealt with in making our decision.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be helpful, but I mean, to the extent, Trump has qualities that I'm eager to embrace. Like, one of those is being able to essentially utter uncomfortable truths that like no one else is willing to look at, and acknowledging the fact that this is a terrible situation. The status quo is completely unacceptable. We can't return to that. We have to do something bold and audacious here. Let me just throw something out there. To do that in the kind of most responsible, delicate way possible, while being sufficiently disruptive, I think is a very good thing. But in terms of achieving this kind of Riviera of the Middle East thing, like, the first and second order problems before you get to the end state where he could actually do the thing that he has done a bunch, build things, they're just so hard. The security envelope that would be required to actually allow contractors to come in and do the construction, the effort to actually try to move people around, to perhaps force people out, it would just be extraordinary. And then think, Camille,
let's say he gets it built. Let's say he makes Gaza as populated and with the skyscraper hotels as Lower Manhattan. Who would stay in one of those? All it takes is
sustaining it over time.
Hamas fighter to go in there with the bomb-laden backpack. And that's what's going to start happening, right? It's like, you cannot trust these people. They are not a peaceful people. They do not desire to live in peace. What they really want to do is kill Jews. That's really what they get off on. And Americans too. I think they'd be thrilled to kill Americans as Jewish supporters, Israeli supporters, if we stay in Gaza.
And not just there. Not just there.
Right. We don't want their bus attacks coming over here. But I also do feel like, well, I don't have a better solution. And I do think, knowing Trump's constant negotiation tactics, there's a high likelihood this could just be trying to spur someone else into action. We continue to face uncertainty when it comes to the economy, with a perfect storm brewing as Social Security and Medicare hit a breaking point, as the largest generation is hitting retirement. A smaller workforce means a smaller tax base. You pair that with our growing national debt and our rising cost of living, and we could have a very big problem on our hands. So what are you doing now to protect your family for the future? Are you diversifying? Gold can be very useful to you in this. It can be a safe haven in hard economic times. And Birch Gold has a super great reputation, and they will make it very easy to diversify a portion of your savings, if you so choose, into physical gold. Birch Gold will help you transition an existing IRA or 401k, in whole or in part, into an IRA in gold, and it will not cost you 1 cent out of pocket. Protect your future today. Text MK to 989898 and get your free info kit on gold and a copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era, with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. There's no obligation, just information. Birch Gold has earned the trust of countless Americans looking to safeguard their savings. You just text my initials, MK, to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.